All right, I think we're live. 1, 2, mic check. Test 1, 2. I see somebody live. Can you guys hear me okay? Hello. Hey, can you hear me fine? Awesome. Hey Jody, how's it going, man? The winner of the power grade a couple of weeks ago. What's up, Josh? Pavid? I don't want to say it wrong. What's up, man? My colors friend is alive, like online too. What's going on, guys? This is awesome. Hey, first time going live, so just bear with me trying to figure it out. We're going to get started in about a couple of minutes. I just want to give it some time for people to show up. I'm going to get going in about 3 to 4 minutes. What's up, Soft Tech? That's awesome. Hey guys, meet my cat right there. His name is Ghost. We got it from Game of Thrones. If you guys are Game of Thrones fans, let me know in the comment. Ghost right there. He's a rag doll. They're supposed to be like 20 pounds when they're fully grown, when they're like 4 years old. This dude is not even 2, and he's 24 pounds. He's like a Maine Coon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Maine Coon. This dude is huge. All right, enough about him. Oh, your dog name is Arya. That's funny, dude. That's so funny. This is awesome. Thanks, Josh Music. Really appreciate it, man. Your guys' support is insane. And what's really crazy is that yesterday we hit 2,000 subscribers. So 4 months. I started the channel on February 28th, I believe. So in 4 months, we have 2,000 subscribers. All thanks to you guys. Seriously, it is so crazy, man. It's just, it keeps me so pumped to keep creating content. I'm humbled. I thank you guys very much. All right, let's see. Also, thank you so much for showing up. I know it's a Saturday. My little brother is a YouTuber, and he's always pushing me to do stuff. And he was just like, dude, just go live. I'm like, hey, I want to do a live webinar. I don't know the first thing about it. And he was like, you know what? Stop talking. Just go do it. Just go do it. And we were literally having this conversation Thursday night. And I'm like, I don't have anything prepped. And he's like, so what? Just go talk to people, do a little meet and greet, whatever, which is why this webinar doesn't even have a name, because I want to talk about a backstory, my backstory. I want to talk about like what's happening with the future of this channel and a couple of other things. So I'm like, F it. I'm just going to go live, talk to you guys, and then figure it out as we go. Thanks, Sovik. Hi, Ruda. Bali, Indonesia. My brother went there last year and said it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. I cannot wait to go. Hopefully, probably not this year, but next year. My wife and I definitely want to go. Thanks, Soft Tech. Appreciate it, man. All right, guys, we've been on for 4 minutes, so I don't want to keep you guys waiting. We're going to get going. So this webinar is basically just we're talking. I mean, I'm not really going to be showing you, how to grade something. I just want to, give you an overview. It's more like a meet and greet. I mean, you guys have been following me and watching my channel, and I think it's not fair if I just stay behind that, glass. I want you to know where I come from and, what inspired me to do what I'm doing and where I'm at in life right now. And what to expect for you guys from this channel and what I got planned. And most importantly, the point of this is to hear what you want to see, because I can sit here and talk all day long, but that's no good if you guys are not interested. So I need to know what can help you get to that next level and if I can help you with that, I want to be there to do that. What's up, Clifford? What's up, Usman? How's it going, man? This is Usman from Peshawar. Peshawar is where I'm from. What's up, brother? Yeah, I grew up in Southern. I want to know where you grew up, bro. Yeah, this is awesome. Soft tech, where do I live? I live in California. I live in Orange County, so we're about 45 minutes to an hour from LA. But since I'm a freelancer and I work remotely, it doesn't matter really where I live anymore. I mean, it still kind of does matter because I have to go for meetings and things like that, meet with producers, or if I'm jumping on a new project, a lot of the times, like, line producers and stuff, they would want to have you come in and just, meet you in person to find out, if you guys are on the same page and stuff like that. Hold on. Southern sounds fun. Hyderabad. I lived in Hyderabad. This is awesome, man. All right, guys. So I'm going to start with a little bit about my background. And, it's funny because when I hear people talk about, J.J. Abrams or, even Spielberg or Scorsese, or, you hear all these people talk about when they were growing up, like how they didn't have money. So they got their hands on like the, stupidest, like little camera that they started filming with when they were 8. Well, we didn't even have that. Not necessarily because of the money, but it just wasn't the concept, like in our culture, like, that's, you watch Bollywood movies growing up, but that's the extent of it. It's not necessarily like just go out there and do it, because especially in Pakistan, there's not a big like film industry. So it's just not in our culture. But ever since I was a kid, I was stoked about like storytelling. That's all I knew. So like what I would do is that I wasn't really original. So what I would do is I would take 2 or 4 different movies, like my favorite movies and characters from those movies, and mesh them, put them together, and then have my cousins play different roles. And then I would be always, obviously, the best dude, but most of the time anti-hero, because, that's what I was attracted to when I was young. So, but the craziest thing is that when I started later on, like when I was 14 or 13, I actually got my hands on a camera, a freaking web camera. So my brother was in the United States and he sent me a webcam. It was a Logitech webcam back in the day, literally probably shot like 240p at like 8 frames a second. So what I would do is that we would attach that camera to our tower, like a huge PC tower. We'll attach it to that, and my assistant camera operator, my AC, will hold the entire tower while I would be the DP moving around the webcam, just filming whatever. So, to all the other filmmakers that talk about it was tough and they started with Hi8 or whatever, well, that's what I started with, okay, a webcam. And then I would cut those movies in the shittiest freaking software on earth. What was it? A Movie Maker for PC? So that's what I used back in the day. So that's how I started putting together some stories. Now I have those videos, but obviously no one will ever see them because it's just flat out embarrassing. So that's my childhood, a little bit about my childhood. I'm going to try to follow up with the comments so we can. Andrew asks if I've been involved with Hollywood before. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Hang in there with me. So when I moved to the States, I went to a technical school. I went to DeVry to get my degree in network communications and minor in small business. So that's where a lot of my technical skills come from. A lot of my colleagues ask me, they're just like, dude, you're so freaking technical. Like a lot of the times, like, you'll see these editors and, colorists or whatever, the second something goes wrong with their computer, they just walk out. They're just like, help desk, come fix it, whatever. I'm not that guy. I'm that dude. I'm like a tech support when I'm like working. So at home, I build out my studios, like my setups, everything is just like from ground up. Like I created, I understand everything inside out when it comes to, computers. So I went to like, school for technical school. And that's because that's just a part of the culture. You become a doctor or an engineer or something like that. So I wanted to do something with computers. And then 2 years down the road is when I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. And one of the things that I can share with you guys is that it's really important, guys, to have mentors in your life. And that doesn't mean like a paid mentor, a teacher, or somebody in your field. Like I have mentors for everything. So one of my mentors is, my older brother. And at the time, I was talking to him and I told him, I was like, dude, I'm just not really feeling it. Like I like it. I like what I do, but I don't see myself doing this for life. So we started a dialogue about what do you want to do then? And filmmaking, kind of be the thing that came up. And at the time, like I didn't know who's what, like what's editor's job, what's colorist's job, cinematographer. So I'm like, I want to be a director. Anytime when you talk about you want to do something in film or in this industry, most of the people are just always like, hey, I want to be a director. I want to be like Spielberg. I want to be like, J.J. Abrams, David Fincher, whatever. So my thing was that, hey, I wanna do that. So took a lot of convincing. Finally my parents were on board, and I started film school. Now I went to Art Institute Chicago, and they didn't have like a niche, within like a film program. So it was like a digital film. It was like a general program where you just learn everything. You become like a jack of all trades. And I think that's the best thing that happened to me, because think about it. In 2019, today, that's what's hot right now. Okay. Like maybe around 2010-ish, like specialty mattered a lot. Like, you like, hey, are you an editor or are you a cinematographer? If you're both, then they'll clump you in a video producer category and they'll pay you a $300 a day rate. Okay. But if you're a cinematographer, you can charge, 500,000, 1,500, depending on your level, or even much more if you're, working on bigger productions. And if you're an editor, so, same thing. Similar thing is, it's still there, but nowadays with the social media like craze with video, I'm just seeing huge companies just looking for like these guys who are like predators. Like they can just go out there, they can shoot, they can book places, and they can put things together. They know a little bit of After Effects, and now color is the new player in the game. That's like a new hot thing too, because all these cameras, even consumer cameras, you're using A7S, you're using GH5, and everything is shooting on log. Well, what do you do with log? It's not back in the day where you would just shoot something with like Rec 709 or standard settings. Look is baked in. You bring it in and you got what you got. And it looks halfway decent. The saturation is there. You just tinker with it a little bit. Or on set, you just want to make sure if you're shooting outside, your white balance is 5,600. You're shooting inside at night, your white balance is 3,200 Kelvin. So nowadays, it's not as simple as that. So you kind of have to know, you're required to know a bunch of different things. I mean, even as a colorist now, it's not how it used to be where they were just like, just color, we'll do the visual effects, we'll take care of everything else. Nowadays, all the time I get requests like, hey, do you know visual effects? Like, can you do cleanups? Like there's, are you a conformist? Can you conform stuff? So like, you really have to kind of expand your horizons, So going back to, going to school where we were taught like general information about film was like helpful, very helpful. What wasn't helpful was that how much it cost and how I'm going to be paying those loans for the next 10 years. So, that's for another webinar. As soon as I graduated college, the thing is that, as filmmakers, a lot of us are dreamers, right? We don't want to be a filmmaker to work with a small mom and pop for the rest of our lives making infomercials, right? So we want to work on big stuff. So we dream big, and dreams are perfect. You need dreams to achieve bigger things in life. But dreams need goals. I mean, goals are the fuel to your dreams, and goals are what's going to separate you from, or your dream from, being just a dream or a reality. And for me, when I started going to film school, the dream was to go to LA, work in Hollywood, work on commercials, do big things. That was my long-term goal at the time. 4 years, until I graduate, and then I got to go to college. As soon as I graduated, I did do just that. Like I moved out to California, stayed with my uncle for a couple of months until I started landing some gigs. And guys, I got to tell you, like, you can make things happen from anywhere, and that is very true. It doesn't matter where you live. Like nowadays with social media, you can just DM people, reach out to people all day long for free, and you have access to everyone through internet. So yes, you can make things happen, but I got to be honest, it does help to be in the right place, because hard work plus opportunity equals whatever the F you want, and that's important. So that's the thing. Like I just needed to be here. And the great thing about being in a place like LA, if you're a filmmaker, is that there's so much competition. Okay. It's not easy. It's not like you move to California and you start working tomorrow. But what it does is that it elevates your game. You have to be a freaking A player to survive. And when you get to that level, yes, then you have unlimited opportunities. Then very soon you get to a point where you get to decide, you get to pick and choose what kind of projects you want to work on. So that's just one thing. Like no matter where you are, Pakistan, India, wherever you are, Indonesia, like it does matter if this is going to be your life and if this is going to be your career, to kind of do consider if there is an industry or, if there is something in your country where, they have more opportunities in our industry, then it's not the worst idea to relocate it. So that's just a little, side advice. So as soon as I moved to California, I worked maybe for 5 months, like just, random jobs. Like literally I was digitizing tapes for $200 for a week. I will go pick up the tapes in Burbank. I was living in Anaheim, which is about an hour away. And then traffic's like 2.5 hours, 2 hours. And then I will come home, digitize these tapes for 1 week and then run them back. Guys, call it naivete. Whatever I've done in my life, I took insane amount of just pride in it. I don't care. Even when I was digitizing tapes, I was thinking in my head that I made it. I was listening to Drake like I freaking made it. Like I'm the shit, You need that. You need to be your biggest hype man, and especially in our field, because the path is not really clear, okay? It's not like my brother graduated, in IT, and he's a freaking director, making obscene amount of money right now. And it's not to take away any credit from him, but it's like just sort of like a defined path. You go with it. In our field, it's not like that. So you have to push yourself, and you have to be not so critical of yourself and just take it easy, just go with it. Work hard, but like stay focused. So I landed my first gig in 2010. Working with a company where I was basically was a video producer, entry-level job. I was going around the country and just shooting race car drivers, like, and different races. Like I was making mini documentaries, cool 5 to 7 minute pieces about different race car drivers. And it was a crazy, insane gig. It turned me into a freaking machine. Like you wouldn't believe. Just doing that stuff day in and out is the best thing that can happen to you when you're starting out. I will highly recommend for those of you who are getting into this career, it's kind of early on in your life, and I would say go get a full-time job. I mean, it sounds like it might suck. Just put up with it. Put up with it until you're disciplined, until you're consistent, and it's gonna make you so efficient that a year from now, if you have a full-time job, a year from now, you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, Jesus, like how far have I come? Like in the beginning, I thought this is gonna be lame, blah, blah, blah. So I would highly recommend, look at it as like a boot camp. But in this case, you're getting paid, So to learn to get hands on crazy equipment, things like that, that's where my, color grading career took off, because we would get CapEx every year, and I would tell my, supervisor, I'm like, hey, we need a Avid artist color. Like we need a control surface, and we need DaVinci Resolve. And before DaVinci Resolve, like back in the day in 2010, I was using Apple Color, and I was like, hey, we need Apple Color. And it's like, Okay, no problem. They'll get it. And it's thousands of dollars, money that, a lot of people can't afford. Luckily, nowadays, you can get Resolve for free, or $300. You get the full version that somebody in company 3 who's, grading the Revenant is using. And you have access to the same thing for $300. So it's insane how far we have come. Sorry if I go off these tangents, but I try to bring everything together. My notes are right here, but I think some of those things are kind of like the necessary evil to get the point across. So anyways, full-time job, think about it. Like, don't just rule it out. If you're starting out, it will just, it'll get you going. Anyways, in 2012 is when I decided that I surpassed that job title. You know what I mean? Around 2012, I wasn't burned out, but I was just like, you know what? I think I can do more and I want to do more. So in 2012, I, at the time, which felt like made the biggest mistake, quit my job, $700 in my account. Also, guys, side note, marry someone who can support you in any and everything. I mean, no joke. I know insane amount of friends that are just like, oh, I want to do this, but my wife won't let me. I want to do that, but my wife won't let me. That's not the case in this household. I mean, I love my wife for that, because I have $700 in my account, 2012. And I tell my wife, hey, I can't do this anymore. This sucks. I want to do something else. And she goes, well, quit. And I'm like, well, we don't even have the money for the rent. She was like, so what? We'll just go live with our parents for a little bit. Just quit. Just do it. And it was the craziest decision and very irresponsible of me to do it. I quit. And that changed everything. As soon as that happened, a snowball effect. Like, I got so pumped, I started putting out reels, and you would not believe the kind of survival instincts that just kick in when shit hits the fan and you gotta go. And stuff started happening. Like, I put out my reels, got a call from somebody that I shot a wedding couple of months ago, and this dude saw my setup, my OG Blackmagic cinema camera, 2.5K, and he needed some stock footage for, Adobe stock or whatever, and he hit me up. I went, shot some footage for him, and the rest is history. I started landing gigs, and oh my God, like, it just started working out, just snowball effect. And then a couple of months later, I landed what over time became my permalance gig. And I started working with this company that was hooked up. It was a production company that was hooked up with many different agencies and big brands. And then they would just have obscene amount of work come in, and I would be working on episodic things like shows, like, 20-minute shows, 40-minute shows. And then I would be working on 30-second spots that they would ask me to grade. And I just did anything and everything. And I just gobbled it up, like, just took it all in. Like, when you are on a roll, don't listen to that stupid advice where they say, hey man, you got to wound down, you got to take it easy, you got to kick back, like, take some time off. Don't. When you got that momentum and you're going, freaking fly. Just do not stop. It doesn't matter. Everything else can wait. Like, we're young, we can go, and by doing that, you develop this mental stamina. Like, you become like a hustler for life. And that's what you need in everything. It's going to help you with your family, with your work, just everything in general. So, that is my story with my freelance career. And obviously, this is all I've done ever since. And then around 2016 is when I decided to kind of heavily pursuing the remote situation and just start working remotely. But for that, I will advise, like, if you start your career as a freelancer, so one thing, like I said, I would say it really goes in a sequential order. So internship out of college, if possible, full-time job, necessary evil, freelance. And I say freelance because, again, most of us want to do our own thing, want to tell our own stories and be treated with that respect. And the difference between a full-time job and a freelance, if I can tell you, is that as an employee, working full-time, you're just expected to do things. You're told what you have to do, and that's it. That's your sort of position. No matter how high you go, That's sort of like just, unsaid, like truth, whatever, like thing. Freelancer life, entrepreneurial career, like that life is totally different. You're treated with much more respect. You're treated more as a partner than, hey, what the hell? Like, chop, chop, let's go get this done. So just two different differences that you got to think about. And as filmmakers, we're creative people. You can't put me in a 9 to 5 cage, and that slot and have me just produce content. Like, most of the time when I'm editing, my schedule reverses. Like when I'm editing from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Not all the times, but a lot of the times when I'm making these YouTube videos, that's when my creative genius just comes to freaking life. It's that's what happens overnight. No distractions, nothing. Like I can focus. Okay. When it comes to color, doesn't matter. Just put me in a box that's black, blackout box, and just leave me in the middle of the desert. I don't care. I can grade. It doesn't matter. Like for color, I can get into it and get going. And that's another thing, guys. Like, find your calling, and it will be that easy. Like where you will be just cashing these checks and like going, how is this happening? Like, am I tricking the world? Like, are they not in on this? Like, are they eventually going to catch me? Because something might be wrong with this. How am I getting paid doing this? I love this. How am I getting paid? And getting paid so much doing that. So if something like that happens to you, you found your calling. So one thing that I want to talk about, like as a freelancer, so a tip for being a freelancer, stay on top of your game. Like you really need to stay on top of your game, because a full-time employee can do a subpar job, whatever. There's so many companies I work for, they bring us in as like these trained assassins. Like when I say us in freelancers. So you'll be talking about a big agency, right? They got badass people, like, it might be your dream to work there, blah, blah, blah. When a big project comes in to a company like that, you will be surprised how many times they'll be reaching out to freelancers that specialize in a certain niche. They'll bring those guys in, and then you just see these heads turn, like like the full-time employee just like kind of looking at you with envy, that what the hell, man? Like I work here and I was waiting for a cool gig, and when the cool gig comes along, it goes to me. So why does it go to me? Because that's what you need to realize as a freelancer. To be a successful freelancer, the bummer about a freelancer is that it's inconsistent. Okay, you can't live in a nice house, you can't have a dope car, like you can't really do those things because it's inconsistent. Like, you get paid $5,000 one month, you get paid 50, 20 grand one month, and the next month you make nothing. The month after that, maybe you'll make something, maybe you'll make nothing. So that inconsistency, puts like a lot of fear in people. And then a lot of the times that turns into like, I'm just going to go land a full-time job. Nothing wrong with a full-time job, but I'm just saying that if you want to be a freelancer, stick to your guns. And the thing is that you have to, the equation, the missing piece is that to be a successful freelancer and always be number one on speed dial for all your line producers and everybody, is that stay on top of your game, whatever it is that you do. So how can you stay on top of your game? And you probably heard me say this word all the time, and I'm going to say it all the time: systems and processes. I said it in my last video, and you guys are going to hear it a lot more. I believe in it like religion. I believe in systems and processes. And what I mean by that is that what works for you. So for me, the beginning of every year is pretty slow. The first couple of months are kind of, everybody's just getting back after Christmas, like after the holidays, like, it's just, the business is not booming yet. Like everybody's just in the process of, pre-production, getting there. Okay. So what I do during that time is I go hard in like learning. Just learn. Anytime as a freelancer you have a downtime, go learn. So, okay, Premiere Pro 19.1, 19.2, whatever, the next Premiere Pro, application that came out, what are the new features? Learn the new features. Don't be scared of just like thinking outside the box. Keep pushing yourself. Like 2 months ago or a month ago, I think, I started editing in Resolve. I always hated it because you just hate things that you don't know how to use most of the time, you know? So for me, I grade in Resolve. That's all I use Resolve for. And I just told myself that, hey, Resolve sucks when it comes to editing, sound design, and XYZ. It's only good for color. While a month ago, I wholeheartedly just dove in, went all in, just went nuts, learning everything about it. And I can tell you, I'm a believer. Like right now, I'm cutting in DaVinci Resolve. Okay. I am actually finishing a job. I convinced my client, a client I've been working with for over 6-7 years. I convinced them that, guys, let's try this software out for everything: editorial, sound design, logging, like everything, music, mixing, and color, obviously, and visual effects. So we used Resolve solely, and it's great. Smooth sailing. It's perfect. They're loving it. I'm so fast because the great thing about Resolve is that, I'm editing, right? And then as soon as I'm just bored editing, like I'm just burned out, I want to take a break. Before, I would actually just shut it off, and just take a walk. Well, now I can just go to the color page and just have fun with it, start creating some looks. So that's something that I never got in Premiere. That's a traditional editing, software editing mindset. You do one thing and you stop and you take a break and you come back and you start over again. Well, I notice that my productivity has just skyrocketed this way because I'm bored from editing. Okay, jump over to sound design, do some sound design, do some mixing. Okay, go over to color, create some looks. Like it just changed, it shifted, my mentality, and it's great. And how did it happen? Keep at it. Like stay on top of that game. Like I don't stop. Anytime there's a downtime, between jobs or whatever, I learn. I don't get panic anymore. I used to panic like a mother. Anytime there was like a downtime, I was just like, I'm done for. Maybe I should get a full-time job. I don't know what the hell's going on, blah, blah, blah. Now I know that it just works out. It's just like any other job. You have a couple of clients. They might not have something today. They will have 2 things tomorrow. So you will have work. Just take it easy and use that time instead of like being unproductive and like I said, panicking. Use that time to focus on positive things and just learn. Okay. And then don't compromise. I mean, that's another thing that I want to talk about. I mean, literally so many people get into this industry, and I'm not going to name names, but I know my friends that got into this industry, went to the same school, and came out, and a great cinematographer friend of mine just turned into a motion graphics artist, and not so great of a motion graphics artist because that's the first job he landed, and he never quit. So that's not his forte. That's not his thing, so that's what he did. And it's sad. I see people do that time after time. Like, we will not be successful in this industry because it doesn't pay compared to IT or anything in business. Like, it doesn't pay anything close to that. So then if you're doing something that you don't really love just because you wanted to be in that industry and now you're doing something so far off, but you're like, hey man, whatever, that's not a good bargain. So I would say it doesn't matter. Do something. Always have your eyes on the prize. Like, if today you have to do an entry-level job because you're starting out, no problem. That's just what you have to do. No big deal. But always keep your eyes on the prize and go for that. Like, stay focused and keep it fun for yourself. Like, don't look at the clock. If you're looking at the clock, you're doing something wrong. There's so many times I have to take a break. I have to schedule date nights because I'm just like I love this. I can drown in this, willingly. I just love what I do that much. So have that when you're doing it. Okay. So now I want to get into the second part of this webinar. I want to talk about what got me doing YouTube. I want to look at some comments too. There's so much stuff coming in. Goals are very important, Clifford. You're right. Jody, it's all good. Soft Tech, I'm living in California. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I live in California now. All right. Okay, so let's move on to what got me doing YouTube. So I want to talk about a couple of things. Okay. So the biggest thing that got me doing YouTube, and it was hard. I mean, I've been thinking about doing that for over 5 years, and there's so many reasons why I didn't do it. Number one reason is I'm the dude behind the camera, not in front of the camera. It's not natural to me. It's weird, you know? And like, even like right now, looking at myself while I'm talking to a computer, it's just weird. It's not in me. So it was difficult. But I thought there was bigger reasons to do it than just me looking weird and being selfish about it. And the biggest reason was to share what I know, genuinely share what I know. And I'll get into it, what I really mean by that. One of the things that I noticed, the biggest problem that I noticed when you go on these training sites, or, you know, when you go to YouTube and try to learn something in our field, the biggest thing that's missing is that there's just too many how-tos, okay? And I look at it as like knowledge without direction. It's just shove you with all this information. Great, so now you got it. You can do X, Y, and Z. What the hell do you do with that? You know? I also feel that a lot of the colleges and school systems are dealing with that too. Like, okay, great. Like, you taught me all this. Now put me on the right path. Don't give me a, you know, one class, you know, that's about career development and the instructor gives me an A for not showing up. Like, no, like, this sucks. Like, at the time it was fun. Like, I was partying and I was doing whatever, and I just skipped that class and I got an A. Wow, great. And now looking back, I'm like, what the hell, man? That was probably the most important class. Not because of that instructor, because he was garbage. That's why he was just letting us go and giving us A's. But if the right person was in that position, could have changed everybody's life and their trajectory, like career trajectory. So, you know, that's what I see online too, and just in school systems. So I have to break that. I wanted to break that. Like, it's just too much of that. And then what happens is that a lot of the tutorials out there are also, you know, instead of teaching you something, like, you get intimidated. You watch something and you realize how stupid you are. And then all of a sudden, like, you're just like, man, you start questioning everything. Like, am I supposed to be doing this? Is that my field? I mean, look at this guy, what he just did, blah, blah, blah. And all the nonsense jargon that he talked about and theory stuff that's not practical, that I can't really apply, you know, to anything. But, oh man, color theory, this and that. It's like, there's just so much fluff. A lot of the times people are using this medium to just whatever, you know, I can't say it on the webinar, but like, you know, just to make themselves feel good. And that's just what I'm saying. I've seen a lot of that time after time. And I say this because, guys, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in paid trainings, not just free content. And even I took classes. I took classes to be certified in DaVinci Resolve. And after 20 minutes, I walked out because in the description, it said, hey, this class is for pros. And when I walked in, no, hell no. They spend the first 45 minutes showing us where DaVinci Resolve is on your computer. Are you freaking kidding me? It was a $1,500 class. I walked out. I got a partial refund, but that's not the point. What I'm saying is that time after time I see this and I'm just like, you know what? No, I want to change that. Like, you know, I want to change that. So that's why I'm doing YouTube. And then how can I change it? So now I want to talk about some of those things. So there's so much that goes on, right? Besides you watching me create a really cool look, like, that's great. What's more important to you, which you might not know right now, is that learning these things are great. But what's more important is that where do you go to find your next job? What are the ways? And then, you know, how much should you be charging? There's huge companies that I could have gotten a gig with, but I didn't because I quoted them wrong. I gave them the wrong rate. And believe it or not, most of the time it was, you know, I was asking for a lot less than what was a normal rate for an editor at the time. And they just never called me back. They loved my work, but they were like, what the hell? This guy can't be professional if he's charging that much. Well, why the hell do I not know how much should I be charging? Is anybody talking about that? Nobody's talking about that because they want to keep that stuff to themselves. Why? Nobody knows. You know, because if there's one thing that I learned from my dad is that there's plenty to go around. If I just tell you everything, if I just share all my knowledge with you, you're not taking my job. You're going to get a job, and it's great. Then both of us have freaking work. So that's my mindset. Okay. So that's how I approach it. I want to talk about those things, not the fluff, not just the how-tos, but hey, how can you get out there and do something about it and start working? And then once you get going, once you got the flow, then you'll figure it out. You've already figured it out at that point. And, work politics, I mean, that's a huge thing. How far can you go nipping it in the butt until you just go, hey man, that's too much? Like there's a fine line. Sometimes you got to walk out, sometimes you got to put up with it. So how do you know? What's that balance, So that's that. Like, that's important. We need to talk about that. I want to talk about those things. Industry trends, what's hot, man? What's happening right now? Where are we headed? Like, what's the cool new look, And that's what you guys need to know, because that's what's hot right now, And it's good to know that and apply it and show that you can do that, and become valuable to huge companies or small companies, whatever. Negotiation tactics, that's another one, like, okay, so how much money should you ask for? How, not only just money, like what other things, you can discuss and ask for, like how can you get a bigger role and contribute more, things like that. So, I mean, there's that we're going to talk about. And then the business side of things, I want to talk about how can you sustain being a freelancer in our industry and have a great lifestyle. Don't compromise your lifestyle. Don't have your brother drive a freaking BMW when you're driving I don't know, Prius, whatever. And I'm not saying I don't mean to come off as like a asshole, like a Wolf of Wall Street asshole, like money. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that, to be comfortable, so then it's sustainable without any sacrifices. You get to do what you want when you want, and you get paid great money for it. So those are the things that I want to share and get you to that point. That's the point of this channel. In the near future, let's talk about the future of this channel now. In the near future, I want to create more practical tutorials. So practical tutorials, most of the stuff that you've seen already on the channel, things like that, right? So, I mean, it can have a little bit of how I am doing this, but then it's going to be filled with pro tips like, hey, this is what's hot. This is what I did on whatever project and they loved it, blah, blah, blah. Give you a little before and after, not just show you whatever. And then also just sandwich it with some advice. So then it can really sink in and you can see a bigger picture than just like watching me do something and then you mimicking that, So I want to do more practical tutorials because I get requests for like, do a video on your setup, do a video on Logitech G13, the thing that I use. And eventually I do want to do that if I have enough time. But I feel like other topics might take a little bit more precedent over that. And just for the reasons that I just mentioned, because I feel like these things are just important for you guys to know more than that you might think that you want to know, because it's literally like, boom, boom, boom. Like if I can just show you what you need to do to make a reel, doesn't matter if you worked on 4 short films, it doesn't matter if you have barely anything. How can I make you marketable? How can I make you, desirable, where you can just go out there and get a job? And then sure, I got some tutorials where you can learn how to do it right and how it's done in the real world. So there's that too. So I want to focus on that. And eventually, I haven't done these a lot, but I mean, my last video had like, it had a little bit of that, like a road to glory type of videos. Basically, like, my last video, I didn't really show you how I created that ring look that I was working on. I talked to you about, some advice, like, my experience and, some challenges, some obstacles, some, intention and what it really means and how to think like a creative, how to approach a problem from a different perspective than, let's just say that I got a banging computer, I got 24 gigs of VRAM, blah, blah. Like, let's get past that. Let's look, away from that and focus on the bigger picture, So I want to do more of those because the response was very positive, and I think you guys liked it, and I want to keep doing that. And now, sorry, I mean, we've been going on for 45 minutes now, so I'm going to start wrapping it up. Now, I want to ask you guys, I mean, this is, I feel like for me, is the most important section right here. Please just write everything here. I need to know what kind of stuff you guys would like to see. So, I mean, I just shared my direction and everything with you guys, but every comment is going to matter everything to me, because I need to know, what do you guys want to see? What will help you? My goal is to help you get to that dream. Like, whatever you want to be in the next couple of years, if you want to be a colorist, if wherever you want to end up, I want to help you in that, and I want to get you there the fastest. So just, drop your wish list. Let me know what kind of tutorials you guys would like to see. And a couple of last things. So I want to talk about, like, and this is just going to be some, that's awesome. That is so great. Like, Prabhat Kumar, I believe, like, just said that, hey, do like how to grade commercial film or music video. These are amazing, because I'm just going to get to that in 2 seconds. Keep them coming. Keep these suggestions coming, please. So just quick little advice section that I have here. I want to talk about these things, and I already talked about it throughout, but now it's just, I'm going to curate this. Again, this industry, it's tough. It's not easy. It's, if you really want to thrive, not just survive, you're going to have to make some tough choices. And what I can say to you right now, as somebody who's been doing it for a while, and, I'm happy with where I'm at, with what I've accomplished so far. There's a long road ahead, and I'm not stopping at anything. I'm trying to build a legacy, not just, paychecks, collect paychecks. So it's up to everyone what you want to do in life. But I would say, no joke, and these might come off as cliche, but I couldn't stress more on these points. Like, stay strong. Really, really do stay strong. Like, I've gotten to point where I hit up my brother and said, dude, I think I want to finish my degree in network, because I was already like 2 years in. I was like, I want to take the last 2 semesters and go get a job in networking, because this is just not panning out how I envisioned. And he talked me out of it, but I wish I was stronger. So that's what I'm trying to say. Either stay strong or have somebody around you that can just pull you out of your, bottom and get you back up. So stay strong and stay determined. Like, determination is key. Like, just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. I mean, we hear these stories so many times. I mean, I just heard that, the Dyson, the vacuum company, I mean, Mr. Dyson had 5,000 prototypes that were failed and didn't pass the test, blah, blah, blah. And then the 5,001 prototype is what was accepted and selected, and then, the rest is history. And now you look at them, and they have like freaking $700 fans and $800, vacuums, and people buy them like crazy. So that's just one example. Like, I mean, persistence and determination go hand in hand, and you just cannot stop. It doesn't matter. Just keep at it, keep at it. And then what I'm going to say is that whether you are watching my videos or any other training out there, guys, learn and apply. I mean, these 2 things go hand in hand. Like, if you learn, you gotta apply right away, because there's so many times back in the day I made that mistake where I would just watch a really complex tutorial about compositing, and then I'll just go, oh, great, man, I think I got it. Even I'm taking notes, but I'm like, okay, I got it. But I didn't apply it right away, and then I forgot about it. So huge, huge, huge thing. Like, you just have to learn and apply, learn and apply. It just goes hand in hand. You have to, even if you feel like it or not. And again, one last time, do what you love. And when I say do what you love, is that if you're starting out, if you're new, don't box yourself. Just go big, explore, do anything and everything. Be a cinematographer, be the director, be the actor, whatever. Just go out there, experiment, and then eventually you're going to find your calling. If you're a writer, and if you sit in front of a screen and you're staring at it for 5 hours, maybe you're not a writer. It's time to reconsider. I'm just saying, if you're an editor and you just stall, like you take days to put together a cut because it's just you're struggling with it, maybe you're not an editor. Like these things come to you. Like I can't really write, but when I'm editing, I get these epiphanies. Like I'll be driving, I'll be listening to some song, and all of a sudden all these edits start coming together. Like it just sings to me, so I know that I'm an editor. Colorist, like I said, I mean, put me anywhere and I can freaking color. That right there tells you that I'm born to do this. Like, I worked hard to get to that point technically where I don't feel hesitant doing something, but to get to that point, it's got to be natural. You got to have a connection with that thing. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I promise I'm going to wrap this up. This is the last thing. So, a couple of you, let me just read these really quick, the suggestions. Okay, so great. So Saad Shah said that I want pro advice for freelancers and beginners. So currently, I mean, most of you asked me. So now let's talk about courses. Okay, they're in the works. I'm working on them, and most of you asked me for, hey, when are you going to come up with like a training program, some sort of a course? And those are behemoths, right? So I mean, they take a long time, and it has to be done right. Like I don't want to. If I'm going to have a paid course, I don't want to rob you. And it's a huge thing, okay, for me. It matters a lot to me. I have a pretty lean community and a very positive community. And the last thing that I want is to do that to you, just like bang something out and give it to you. So it has to be done right. So right now, the topics that I have here, I'm currently working on 2. So the reason why earlier I read a comment by Kumar and I said that's funny is because he said, hey, how to color grade a commercial film or music video. And brother, I have those 3 courses, but the one that I'm working on right now is how to start or how to grade a TV commercial. So that's the one that I'm working on. Because before I get into how to grade a music video or how to grade a short film, those are longer in length. And what's going to happen in these is that we're going to start to finish. We're going to go all the way through, even with like some negotiations and how I landed the gig, and then what am I doing, and then what's the delivery process, and then the invoicing. And we're going to get in there. I'm going to freaking, show you my freaking pay stubs if I have to just like really be transparent and give that stuff to you. So I want to do one that's going to be how to grade a TV commercial. So this is going to be more focused on how we do it and what's right and wrong and what's accepted and, what's too far, and what's the right amount and the time length and all that. Like, what does it take to do a 30-second commercial, 15-second, and a minute commercial, things like that. And how involved do you have to be? And obviously, we're going to do the technical things and we're going to create those looks and all that. You're going to get the footage and, exercise files and all the good stuff. And then the second one that I want to do is how to start your career as a freelancer. So now that one is going to be very valuable. I have to get my thoughts together and like just consolidate everything in a way that it's going to be in a linear fashion. So when you're following it, my goal is that by the end of the course, you land something. You land a gig, you get something going. Like it's just going to give you everything from like a macro level to micro, small details to like the biggest things, like the bigger picture. Okay. So it's going to have all of that in there. So, those are the 2 courses that I'm working on currently. But guys, please, that's it. We're done. But please mention what kind of courses you would like to see, what kind of videos you would like to see, how am I doing so far, and did you absolutely hate this webinar? I'm kidding. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time.